All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press briefing of the first APEC High-Level Policy Dialogue on Science, Technology in Higher Education. My name is Raymond Liboro, and I am from the Department of Science and Technology. And in front of you are this year's eminent Policy Dialogue chairpersons, the Honorable Chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education, Dr. Patricia Licuanan, and her co-chair, the Honorable Mario G. Montejo, Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology. And also in front of you is one of the leading movers of the country's hosting of APEC 2015. He is the Senior Officials Meeting Vice Chair of the APEC 2015 National Organizing Council, none other than Undersecretary Ferdinand Cui. This year's high-level dialogue on science, technology, and higher education is a first in APEC history. It had attracted 18 member economies from 21 of the APEC's member economies, and that are poised today to discuss a broad range of topics that will result in the formulation of a declaration strengthening multilateral cooperation on advancing science and technology in higher education in the APEC economies towards developing the 21st century innovators in science and technology. Today's dialogue, which we started this morning, likewise attracted leading scientists and researchers on science and technology based in higher institutions, or higher learning institutions, senior university officials, presidents, vice presidents, chancellors for research and innovation of higher education institutions. And more importantly, we've also attracted business leaders and CEOs who are also present in this historic dialogue. It is expected that synergy from all these leading lights of science and technology and higher education in the region will pave the way for wider cooperation in addressing common challenges in the region. Most of you probably will be expecting that the two gentlemen and the lady in front of you will be giving opening statements, but we would rather, or they would rather, that you shoot the questions immediately and they be responding to your questions, all right? So at this point, with all of you have been present at the opening this morning, and you've heard the opening statements there. I hope everyone is listening. With the three of them, from Yusek to, of course, the chairpersons, Honorable Licuanan and Secretary Montejo gave their opening statements. So with that, I would like to invite now everyone, or the media present, to field their questions, and our eminent guests will be in front of you to answer this. Who would like to start? All right, please. Hope you can identify, well, of course, state your name and also your the institutions you belong to.
Good afternoon. I am Joyce Balancho from UNTV. For the panel, just like to ask, aside from strengthening our institutions and the curriculum in higher education, which is towards science and technology, what's after this? How about job creation and skills matching? How do we ensure that after producing innovators and scientists, experts in the Philippines, they just won't leave the country and find better opportunities outside the Philippines?
Thank you.
I guess that has always faced us as a question in anticipation of ASEAN integration and all of the, and now I guess the broader region of APEC, no? As we train our human resources in the Philippines, does it mean that we will be just making them more attractive to recruiters and to employers abroad? Well, I would say, yes, of course that will happen, but at the same time, they will also be much more attractive and competent for the local jobs. Now, of course, the question is, will there be local jobs? Yes, I think that is also part of our aim here, no? As both as a regional conglomerate as well as individual um, players in the Philippine economy, yes, of course, that is also part of our commitment, no? That we are producing good jobs that will keep people here in the Philippines. But one must understand that with globalization, a lot also of international and multi sort of what do you call them? International organizations and companies are based here, no? And so essentially, we are also hoping that our local graduates will get jobs here, and they will be much more competitive because now they will be competing also with other graduates in the region. But with our training, we hope that they will be more competitive and they will be the employees of choice of both national and multinational companies.
Thank you, Dr. Liquanan. Secretary Mateo.
I'd just like to add that the government is spending billions of pesos in facilities, R&D facilities, like Genomic Center. We have for biotech, nano, for electronics, for semicon. We have Admatel. We have for advanced mapping. And we have also will be upgrading our facility for supercomputers. All of these are part of the program. We are in the government spending billions, including the necessary capacity building, the necessary SNT personnel. So we are creating the need for our scientists so that to encourage them not to go out. We are now lacking in our genomics. The Philippines is lacking the required genomics scientists. Definitely will be lacking in the nanotechnology scientists. Even in the botany or even in agriculture, as mentioned earlier. At the same time, because of the increased number of our scientists, the Philippines, as mentioned earlier in the chairman, is that becomes now a location of choice for R&D, for companies that are into R&D activities. I'd like to cite a very specific example. NIDEC, a very, very big Japanese company, would like to set up their R&D facility in the Philippines, and they would be needing 500 PhD semestral. And it's moving. We are now in step one, and we're talking about Japanese company. We're talking here also about big Swiss pharmaceutical who would like to set up also. So the Philippines is moving up in value chain niya, from merely assembly to product development. That would be needing all of these highly qualified scientists and engineers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the next 2 days, discussions will cover topics, a myriad of topics from food production, security, environment, disaster preparedness, climate change, and energy, marine resources, economy, biodiversity and conservation, smart analytics and engineering innovation, such a slew and of topics really ranging from A to Z. All right, so please, we would like to invite you to continue covering this high-level policy dialogue. I'd like to pose this question to Yusek Andy Cui. Since this is a historic first for APEC, do you foresee that future APEC meetings will now really put science, technology, and higher education as probably a mainstay in the discussions in the future years to come?
Thank you, Asek Mon, for that very relevant question. The answer is an emphatic yes, and for so many reasons, one of which is very close to our heart and to our context. Disaster risk reduction and management is an immense challenge. And if you look at our National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Framework, which we are now advocating for APEC to adopt. By the way, there's a Senior Disaster Management Officials Forum in mid-September in Iloilo, and that is where the Philippines will formally push for the adoption by APEC of its proposed APEC Operation Framework for DRR. Now, going back to S&T, science and technology, and of course higher education, have been identified as part of the fundamental enablers of our national disaster risk reduction capacity. So, moving forward, Philippines is proposing an APEC cooperation framework on DRR, which we hope the APEC leaders will adopt and include in their declaration come November. Moving forward to Peru's hosting in 2016, Vietnam's, if I'm not mistaken, in 2017, and then Malaysia's in 2018. We've spoken with our counterparts, and DRR is one thing that's common to all of us in Asia Pacific. And given that it is common, it is a common challenge to all of us, and given that science and technology, the innovations that go with it, and of course higher education are part of the fundamental enablers, we very much see science and technology in higher education being at the forefront of APEC discussions. Because remember that this is all about climate change adaptation and mitigation, and we need to respond to this global reality. So we cannot run away from it. It's there, it's real, and we need to respond and act as one. Thank you.
That is why it is our hope that the synergy that has been developing within the science innovation ecosystem would really serve as a momentum start, for future discussions on science, technology, and innovation in higher education. All right. Thank you, Yusek Kui. At this point, I'd like to call on Mr. Jovi Key of the Inquirer, Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Good afternoon. Jovi Key from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. For CHED Commissioner Patricia Licuanan, you mentioned in your speech earlier that there's a need to boost the participation of women in science and technology and higher education. Can you just further expand on that statement, and can you give us a current situation of women in this sector, and how do we plan to increase the participation of women in this industry and sector?
Actually, when I was listing those areas and those questions in my very brief opening statement, I was just really wondering whether we are talking about participation of women specifically in science and technology, or participation of women in all aspects of APEC-related activity. And of course, I would go for the latter, but because the focus of this meeting is science and technology, one has to acknowledge the fact that UNESCO has always been citing the underrepresentation of women in science and technology and in science and technology careers. And we, in turn, in higher education, we look at the various science tracks or science courses. And while in the Philippines it is improving, it would seem that across the globe, that is still an issue. So being an advocate for women's empowerment, I thought it was appropriate to mention that, that essentially we do want women better represented in science and technology careers. Let me just say that I guess there's no one here right now from the University of the Philippines College of Engineering, but we are edified, we are happy with the reports that now essentially it is almost 50-50 in the enrollment of men and women, and that did not used to be the case. So we hope this is a trend that will continue. I think women, I think you will have to validate this, are very good researchers. They're extremely meticulous. They have perhaps a lot more patience, and because they are, and we know, in fact, that in school, they are better students. They do not drop out as readily as men. No? I will not say, I will not interpret more than that, because I could say they're more they're brighter, that they're more competent, but maybe it's because they obey the rules a lot more and therefore are they're patient, they do their homework, they do their work. So I think they would be a tremendous asset for science and technology.
Thank you, Chairman Licuan. Any objections from the menu? All right, no. Polly Kaminap Malaya, are you raising an objection or you're posing a question?
No comment.
Is that comment? All
Okay
right, Paul?
lang.
In follow-up to your statement, what can we offer foreign students? In which fields are we strong in education that we can offer to other students? And then for Secretary Monteo, he mentioned 1 million students moving across borders. The target is 1 million students per year for the whole APEC region per year. How many would be coming from the Philippines, for instance? How does it work, this cross-border mobility for students?
Well, let me just say that already there is quite a bit of cross-border activities with students. No? The university mobility programs are quite active, and we expect that with more aggressive work in APEC, that will increase, as well as with ASEAN integration. No? There's something quite attractive, I think, about our part of the world, our cultures, and then admittedly as well, our universities, because sometimes we think, well, you know, we're not yet in the top 100 universities of the world, we're not even in the top 100 in Asia, but at any rate, obviously, two things. Now, one is there are niche areas that we either already possess or can develop. Just the comments of Yusek Kui, no? That essentially this whole area of disaster preparedness, disaster risk reduction, my God, that is our area. Where else can they go in the world that is a better place to study that? So let's develop it as a niche. No? They can't get any better than this. No? So there are areas like that we think we would like to develop. It's clear in some marine biodiversity. My gosh, where else can you go to study this? No? So we can be a magnet for certain areas, but perhaps less obvious. No? Some of these are obvious. But in the social sciences, for instance, we were thinking, you know, humanitarian assistance, humanitarian response is a very big thing now. They are very attracted to Filipinos, no? In war zones, in areas of calamities, all over the world. And we have strong social work programs, we have strong social science programs, psychology. These students could be trained, and I am really appealing to higher education institutions not to allow these endangered areas to die. I'm noticing that because of financial considerations, because of K-12 and their fear that for 2 years, no, they will not have a cohort coming in, they are downsizing. And the victims are departments that are very important. And among them, as I said, social work. They say, ay, kukunti lang ang registration, so let's consolidate, let's close them up. But that is a big area of the future, no? Because of disasters, because of man-made as well as natural disasters, there are need for people to work with people in these circumstances. And the Filipino is the best at it, because not only will we have the disciplinal and academic training, we have the personality. Everybody says that, you know, when companies come to the Philippines, when we send our nurses and people abroad, even our peacekeeping troops, they like the Filipino, you know, so there you go.
Thank you.
I'll stop
Doc-
there.
Thank you, Dr. Lequanen. Yes, I think in the months that follow the opening of the APEC this year, the realization that the common region that is actually facing common challenges, and that more and more the populations, I mean, all the sectors within this region are have to really join hands. I mean, in meeting these challenges, especially the science and technology and innovation community. So I think this is a very good response to today's start of the high-level dialogue. All right, Paul. Any more follow-up questions? Thank you, Paul. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, John Vic, Philippine
Hi,
Star.
John Vic.
This is for, since we've already discussed some of the specifics, I'd like to go to Undersecretary Cui on more of the, you've mentioned that we're going to have a discussion, another meeting on disaster risk reduction in September. Can you give us probably a quick rundown of the APEC meetings that are going to happen, and can you discuss probably the preparations that we are doing for the following APEC meetings that we have, including the November meeting?
Okay. Thank you for that question. I'll address first the one on disaster risk management, which is fast coming up. It's going to happen soon after the senior officials meeting part 3 in Cebu. So right after SOM 3 will be the what we call SDMOF, Senior Disaster Management Officials Forum. And so in that forum, we're going to propose officially the adoption by APEC of the cooperation framework on disaster risk reduction and management. So it's a Philippines-led initiative, which already counts the support of many economies. And we do hope that it will then be adopted by the leaders come November. In between that and November, will be several ministerial level meetings. There's an energy ministerial meeting, which will be held in Cebu, in Mactan. A finance ministers meeting right after the SOM 3. The structural reform ministers meeting also soon after, or right after SOM 3. All of those are going to be held in Cebu. Am I missing something that's going to be held in Iloilo? Oh, the high-level policy dialogue on food security and the blue economy, which is jointly hosted by the Department of Agriculture and Department of Environment and Natural Resources. So we look forward to the secretaries of DA and DNR co-chairing that high-level policy dialogue, just like our distinguished secretaries here are doing for the HLPD on S&T in higher education. In terms of the preparations, we're going full speed ahead, looking at the whole gamut of preparations from logistics, security, transport, to the substantives. So I'm part of the substantives team. And the security, we leave it to the security experts. It's going well. In fact, I just got a text yesterday from one of my colleagues at the DOF. They were on their way to the Senate, and they said, na-traffic kami papuntang Senado because of APEC. I said, well, that's always the trade-off between providing more intense security and being safe, and then suffering a bit of traffic as a result. Anyway, it's temporary. This will end tomorrow, so hopefully by Saturday that will no longer be a problem. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Yusekwi. A follow-up question from John Vic. John Vic and Jan Vic.
Joe Vic lang, sir.
Joe Vic and Jan Vic. Jan Vic from Philippines and Joe Vic from
To
Inquiry.
Secretary Monteo. Sir, we're expecting through this high-level policy dialogue the increase of mobility of experts across the region. I'm just curious, are we looking at permanently employing the experts and teachers at our universities? And if so, if we're going to employ them permanently in the country, how is it going to affect our local experts, and what are the mechanisms that we are looking at?
I think there will be some permanent, perhaps. There'll be some who will want to stay here and make a career here. But for the most part, we're thinking of shorter stays, maybe spending a sabbatical here, doing a project here, and so forth. Yes, I think ideally we're thinking of greater mobility, but in reality there are challenges. There are labor laws, for instance. There are PRC regulations, which I think we still are discussing. No? I think we have to, as a professional community, agree that there is something positive about having a mix and having international experts come and go. No, so there's nothing particularly threatening about that. No, it's good. And I know that our institutions like the University of the Philippines, Asian Institute of Management, have for some time now bemoaned the fact that it's very difficult for them to attract foreigners from ASEAN or even from the West to come here. And it's not just the difference in salaries, no? But it is really that we are very protectionistic, no? So we have to perhaps open up just a little bit. But that's in the works, right? You said, is it?
Just to build on the, sorry, sir.
Please.
Just to build on the chair's reply, the way we see it, it's a tough balance between two frameworks. The existing framework of helping ensure the provision of quality professional services to our people,
Yes.
which is PRC's mandate, and the framework of opening up or liberalizing the entry of science and technology experts and innovators to our economy, because it is a fact that we do need an army, battalions of scientists and innovators to help propel our economy towards inclusive, resilient, and sustained growth. So that's a fact, that's a given. Now, another fact is that we lack scientists. We lack science and technology experts and innovators. So what do we do in the interim? It is to our best interest to attract the best talent out there whose expertise we need and can help us develop our economy and provide the basis, the anchor towards inclusive, resilient, and sustained growth. But that's going to take time. So in the interim, we attract talent. The policy challenge here is that we have existing laws, rules, and regulations. So there lies the issue, okay, of opening up in the interim and then ensuring that the level of professional services that are provided to our people are top-notch, which means to say they need to be regulated.
Thank you, Yosekui. Secretary Montejo.
Maybe just like also to the question earlier ni Paul. Anyway, even before, up to now, we have postgraduate, Filipinos taking postgraduate in, let's say, Taiwan, UK, Japan, which we find there are advantages. But this is through bilateral arrangement. So this dialogue, it will facilitate more of this kind of exchanges. More of our students can take up postgraduate courses in Taiwan, which offer maybe first class, and yet it's only 2 hours away. And the number of our students taking a postgraduate in Thailand is increasing. We just visited them maybe last 2 months ago.
Yes, sir.
And everybody, both Taiwan and also our students will be very happy. We have also one in UK, as I mentioned earlier, maybe one in Korea. Now, we have also joint research with also similar countries, Taiwan, UK, maybe Japan. Again, we find advantages, we find benefit in joint research collaboration, also with Mexico. So we really hope that through this dialogue through APEC, this will be facilitated more, because all of these are a result of bilateral arrangement.
from the answers by our coming from our resource speakers, it's becoming more evident now that this high-level policy dialogue will really benefit more of our youth, the Filipino youth, in terms of, again, cross-mobility, inter-university collaboration, and interaction. So a lot of things are really in store, good things in store for our students and the youth in general. Yes, sir.
I'd like to cite example of a siguro world-class innovation in the works through collaboration. There were a group of scientists from Netherlands who'd like to work with our scientists also from NOAA to develop maybe the first in the world flood modeling using LiDAR data. So this is really a world-class collaboration between scientists from Netherlands and also our own scientists. And we look at it as just the tip of the iceberg. There are other possibilities of joint collaboration. As I mentioned earlier, regarding a very big Swiss pharmaceutical who would like to have their presence also in the Philippines. These are 4 R&D projects, for drug discovery R&D projects.
Yes, so gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're entering into a new phase of probably what we can call science and higher education diplomacy, now with the start of the high-level policy dialogue. All right. So at this point, again, I'd like to thank everyone. So no more questions. Probably you can just ambush Dr. Licuanan and Dr. She doesn't relish the idea of being ambushed on the way out. So it's a long ways from our meeting rooms down here to the media center. But I'd like to thank RTVM, of course, the National Organizing Council. I think one of we have established a lot of firsts. I think this is also a social media savvy,
cute, no?
yes, dialogue that we're having. The moment you spoke earlier, ma'am, you're already an internet sensation. You should watch YouTube. Your speech has been posted on YouTube, so probably we'll check later if you already got 1 million views from your opening speech, and that's not impossible in today's social media. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone, especially our media friends and of course our resource persons, Honorable Chairperson Licuanan, Secretary Montejo, and Yusek Andy Cui. Palakpakan po natin sila. Maraming salamat po. Hanggang sa uulitin, hanggang sa susunod.